Greetings, everyone. This is me, TBAisen, your troop leader of these Steely Troops. I'm here with a Persona 25th anniversary video, back at it again with another ramble, and this time it'll be about a game concept that actually has kind of piqued my interest for a little bit, and it's called Metal Gear Akechi V, The Phantom Pain. Nah, it is a Metal Gear kind of like game, but with Akechi. Basically, we're going to be talking about a Akechi spinoff, where Akechi's the protagonist. Now, a lot of people will say this is kind of a crack pipe thing. You're not going to see a lot of it. How's that going to happen? Well, I actually object to that. I really do object to that statement. Sure, it's not likely that it would happen, but it's a cool concept to talk about nonetheless, so let's just get right into it. And as you know, with these rambles, I go in and I go out. It's just something I do. But basically, here's how I envision an Akechi spin-off game, or an Akechi game where it's just him. You know, we focus on him as the protagonist. I envision it still has the RPG thing. I envision it as an action RPG with Metal Gear Solid elements to it. Something straight off of like Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, or anything along those lines. That's what I foresee it as. I foresee it as something along those lines, that there would be some sort of form of, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, I see it as a way of just stealth elements. There are stealth elements that will be placed into it, and kind of in the beginning of the game, because we have Akechi, and he'll go around on his Merkin Chronicles. You know, we're gonna have my mans go around on the killing spree, basically. And how he would, and you know how in Metal Gear 5, you would basically, Metal Gear Solid 5, you would take up missions whenever you're at the mother base. Basically, I was thinking of a similar concept with Akechi, to where he would take orders from Shido, and he'd go around, you know, the various people you murked in Persona 5, you go around and even murk the randoms. Those randoms would be missions, and then the story-based characters would be, you know, characters in the story Persona 5, like Haru's dad, for example. Like, that's one of your big story missions. So you gotta kind of go in as the Black Mask and fucking fuck shit up, you know, the true form of Crow. And then when you get to a certain part in the story, kind of around Sai's Palace, you kind of join up with the Phantom Thieves, kind of like a nice midway point to, like, you know, line up the continuity of the story. You might think, well, that's going to be kind of complicated. Doesn't he die near the end of that? Doesn't he die pretty soon? Of course he does. Of course he does. But with him kind of dying in a sense, there's a nice little alternate path you can take with it. You can play the canon mode, which I was just envisioning. It was like, okay, you can play the canon mode where you relive the events of Persona 5 and before it, or you can kind of play the Akechi Protag mode, where, sure, we're just looking at the perspective, the point of view of Akechi when he's working with the Phantom Thieves. You know, in the canon mode, it's just through his lens, his perspective. But with this protagonist mode, he gets access to things like the compendium, wild cards. You know, he essentially gets access to being a wild card, and things play out a bit differently for him. And he doesn't necessarily have to only be a murderer. Now, he has sadistic tendencies and will go around palaces killing shadows and whatnot. So I definitely think there's going to be an action RPG element to that. You know how in Persona 5 you go into palaces and you can move around. Basically, you still have that, but I think there's going to be like think Chrono Trigger or Secret of Mana. It's going to be that level of like action RPG, not exactly Strikers level, because Strikers is pretty brain dead. There's going to be some thought that needs to be put into it. You'll still be able to select moves in your persona and everything, but it's going to be based on a little bit of a real-time system. You can't like sit around. I definitely think it would be cool just for Akechi, you know, kind of do a little bit of a hack and slash, like a miniature Warriors game, but without the repetitiveness and overall blandness and brain dead button mashing of a Warriors game like Strikers. So it's definitely something really cool that you want to keep out on the lookout for, because overall I can see a lot happening for this game, if I'm to be completely honest. And it can really go back into his backstory. We can really see how Akechi came to be who he was. And sure, they kind of explain that, but we can live that through the Persona 5 prequel, essentially. The prequel of Akechi. The Metal Gear Akechi Solid 5 game, bro. That can be something honestly genuinely awesome. And we could definitely check it out. Now, when it comes down to it, I was definitely thinking, you know, since he is going to be around, it is essentially going to be like what Big Boss has done. If you look at any of the Metal Gear games, you're kind of going around doing missions or whatnot. You know, you're kind of sleeping folks. You're getting information from them. So I'm thinking Akechi should have those options of he should be around sleeping folks and going around in the palaces, you know. While brutally massacring the shadows, he should be able to have a little bit of restraint to be like, all right, look, where do I need to go? Or he should be able to scare the opponent enough to where he can decide, oh, okay, where do I need to go? And basically hassle them out of information, intimidate them like an SMT game. I definitely think that would be great. And with this whole thing too, not only would this be a great opportunity to explore his background, you could essentially pull a better Lost Age 2 Golden Sun. You know, you could pull a better Golden Sun Lost Age 2 type of thing, where you can really dive in deep and take a more story approach to his whole backstory and how he grew up. You could take that and make it a whole lot better than how the game in Persona 5 and the Royal presented it as. You can do so much with that. You actually can, and it'd be insane too. And even if they didn't want to make it as a game, because the game by itself would be an awesome game mechanic, it'd actually be an awesome like game to play, because it's like a cross between Persona's gameplay. You'll still have Persona's gameplay, but we'll put it in a more action RPG type of format. Think the Raito Kuzunoa games, but a little more complex. And it's like a cross between Yakuza and Hitman. So, you know, you got various action elements. It's the perfect blend of action and RPG. You don't want to have too much action in your RPG, but you don't have too much RPG in the action of it. You should still feel some sort of octane and high from doing it. And that's the whole goal of this game concept, is you really want to feel like, okay, I'm doing something. We really are doing something. Let's go. Right? Exactly. You want to feel like you're really Akechi, murdering and slaughtering so many shadows, basically. That's what you want to do, you know, when you're Akechi. And I think it'd be very cool to kind of have to face off against the palace owners who you gave mental shutdowns and breakdowns to, and whatever else Akechi can do as a little niche thing that he's able to do. So you could take Haru's dad, for instance. You know, you kind of go around, you face the shadow of Haru's dad's shadow or something like that. You know, you face the shadow of a shadow. That's kind of like the more harder shadow. You know, the Phantom Thieves were facing like the surface shadow. But now Akechi by himself, because Akechi will do this kind of solo. So you want to give him enough tools. Now, if you're going through the canon route, you don't want to give him the compendium and everything, because that messes with the lore. The canon route is what it is. The canon route is just told through Akechi's point of view. The protagonist route takes a little bit of an AU approach, to where some things are similar. You can customize it essentially, where it's like, do you want Akechi to still be a killer, or do you want him to just, you know, take up the mantle of Joker and go full on protag mode on us? And that's something you can look at, and I think that's something especially interesting if Atlas were to tweak with that. Now, that's a lot to ask, and that's definitely something that isn't likely, but would be something great to see. Really would be excited to see that. And there's just something about it to where, similar to the Yakuza games, there's that certain action. You know, you still feel action, but you also feel that turn-based, you know, origins. And just like how you're able to move around in Persona 5, jumping, as you can see in the video right here, just how you can jump around and move, you'll still have that type of movement, but it'll be fleshed out and more expanded upon, and you can really see how exactly you're going to go about everything. And basically you're just going to take more of a Metal Gear Solid approach in how you can explore the overworld and how you can interact with enemies and other NPCs and entities in the overworld. Now when you actually get into a quote-unquote battle, whether it's like initiation or whatever, you have two ways to handle it. You can either handle it in the overworld and try to see what you can do there. Granted, the overworld will just be pure action for people who want to do that, or you can take it to basically into an RPG type of thing where it'll still be action, but it'll be more like a Secret of Mana type of thing, where it's like you just go in like a Chrono Trigger sequence where you go in, you start fighting, and then you just kind of hop in on that mug, and that's basically what you do. So there'll be bits of prompts here and there, but overall it's definitely something to be interested in. And I would definitely say, if you are interested in a game like that, write that down in the comments down below and tell me what you think about Akechi spinoff game. Tell me what you think about it. I know a lot of people would say it's dumb. Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. No one wants a game on that. And while some of those things are kind of true, the rest of it, not really. A lot of it is like actually cool concepts. And once again, this is just kind of like a theory thing to throw around. So once again, I really do ask, leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about a whole Akechi spinoff game. Now, I'm probably not explaining it to the best of my extent because I'm just rambling about this for like 17 minutes. And we're going to see how well this goes. Because why not? Who knows? It might even be shorter. But you know what? We're going to have to surprise myself. We're really going to have to see how things go. But overall, when you really look at it, you really observe how awesome a spinoff like that can be. Let's say they didn't want to make it a game, right? Let's say they said, okay, that wouldn't work as a game. That'd be too extra as a game. They can make that as a spinoff anime or manga and basically take the approach of, what if Akechi got the wild card as one manga serialization, and then what if we saw Persona 5 story events through Akechi's point of view as the original serialization in a manga or anything along that sort. I definitely think that's something that could be used, right, if Atlas decides to give the tools for that. If they decide to put the resources for that, even make it a movie, an anime, or a manga or anything like that. It's just say they don't want to do a game, then that's another great way to go about it, because then you get people reading and you get people really interested into Akechi's character. Now, people already are, but you can really explore the quote-unquote secrets behind Loki and Robin Hood. Like, is he really a wild card? Did he have the potential to be a wild card? And in many ways, yes, he did have the potential to be a wild card. And there's not a lot of definitive answers. And I think an Akechi spinoff would really tie up the loose ends of what Persona 5 has left into the story, basically. If we had this spinoff on Akechi, it would really tie up the loose ends on his characters and the surrounding mysteries around him in game. It truly would just give you the time to just think and go, wow, okay. Now I know more about Akechi, and now this is enriching the lore building of the world. And not only has it made the world building of Persona 5 more interesting, you can look back at the game and be like, oh, so that's how he was able to do in this and that. Because imagine if we got definitive or at least more straight up answers about how Akechi acquired two personas or was able to switch between two personas without it being very, very deep within subtext and nuance. Could you imagine if they gave us a more straight up, more confirmed answer, so that way people won't have to speculate, and that way people won't have to speculate about it too much? That would honestly be something that a lot of people should really do. It's something that Atlas should really be doing and consider in the future. So I know they have their milking seasons with each game, you know, the Persona 4 hype season, 3 hype season, but you know what? If they can pull a Persona 4 for my boy Akechi, that honestly would be the moves. That would be the moves. If they can pull a Persona 4 and just milk a spinoff from a guy, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Because I remember watching a stream with someone. Her name was Krista. Her name was Crystal. It was Crystal, and she was really interested in Akechi. So to make it all a story short, because I practically ran out of things to say about this wonderful game or manga concept, and to like really boot it down correctly and put it all together, basically what you want to do is, this will be a really cool game series. It would be a really cool series if they gave certain, enigmatic characters in the Persona series their own spin-offs. Like Akechi, he's worthy of having his own spin-off, just because of the character development alone, the mystery surrounding his two personas, and anything along those lines, and just other loose ends and character knots that haven't been tied. And we could even see him relive those events. And that's honestly something that shouldn't be understated, or shouldn't go understated, I should say. That's something that honestly could go for a bit, if I'm to be completely frank. So, if we are to go off of what we just learned and what we have in store, I wouldn't be mad if a Akechi Gear Solid game came out, or some Akechi spin-off game, manga, or otherwise came out for the 25th anniversary. I wouldn't. I'd be excited, especially if they handle it right and they just don't make it Persona 5 Part 2, because we already have strikers for that. I just hope they make it fit Akechi, because the game style should just fit Akechi, and that's just what it is. It should fit him, and that's really is the main of it. It should just fit him. But overall, I would have to say is, if you watched this far into the video, thank you for watching this far, because goodness, trying to coherently ramble about a game concept that should have really been a scripted video in itself is quite the challenging task, especially with ADHD, which is, fun fact, something I have. So it was definitely very hard for me to do it, but I know you guys been really wanting longer form content on the channel, because I saw people been watching the last Persona 25th anniversary video I had, where it's just a general one. I wanted to cover the news and give my predictions and speculations. And I appreciate you guys for watching through that, or watching a really good chunk of it, and leaving a like when possible. Now, if you could do me a big fat favor for your troop leader, could you leave a like down below in the comments, and, well, leave a like down below. Now, if you could leave a comment down below in the comment section, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, that'd all be appreciated. And with that being said, I just want to say, y'all have been amazing people. It's really been a nice time talking. And with that, I'll be out. And remember, Steelies, don't get caught. TBAisen out.